Oasis are by far my favorite band of all time, and I love all of their songs. Well, most of them. Yeah, even though Oasis wrote some of the best songs ever written, they are still capable of writing some clunkers. Here are the top 10 worst Oasis songs. And at number 10, we have A Quick Peep. I still firmly believe that Andy Bell was done dirty, for the most part, with the songs that he wrote for Oasis. We'll talk about the abomination that is the nature of reality very shortly, but it always bothered me that Andy got one song on Heath and Chemistry, his first Oasis album track, and that it was A Quick Peep. Don't get me wrong, it's a passable instrumental. It's got some cool guitar bits in there, but the fact that Oasis chose this song over the B-side, Thank You for the Good Times, is an absolute travesty. Thank You for the Good Times is not only a great Andy Bell Oasis song, it's one of the best Oasis B-sides in my opinion. And they left it off the album for a so-so instrumental? It doesn't make sense. And you know what? Oasis do have some good instrumentals, but the Swamp Song or Fucking in the Bushes, A Quick Peep, is not. And I'm sorry to throw so much shade at A Quick Peep. It's not so much that it's really, a super bad track. It's just that it replaces what could have been a great album track in Thank You for the Good Times. And Heath and Chemistry would have been that much stronger an album for it. But we all know that Oasis is notorious for leaving some of their best songs on their B-sides. I guess it's a good problem to have. In at number 9 of the top 10 worst Oasis songs, we have I Will Believe. Oasis is a band that is notorious for their great B-sides, but the B-sides that we got on that first single, Supersonic, were definitely not as good as the A-side. I Will Believe was pulled from the band's earlier demos, Definitely Maybe, and similar to Alive, which is also on this list. There are demos from early in their band's career that I think are better than I Will Believe. Take Me, anyone? But the band needed some more material to get them going, to put some songs on those B-sides, and I remember not really minding this song when I first heard it in the 90s. But as the years went on, it got harder to listen to because it's so different and so much more lo-fi than a lot of the other Oasis stuff that we got later on. It's not the worst song ever, but in the pantheon of great Oasis songs, it's not even in it. And at number 8, we have Born on a Different Cloud. I know with, spoiler alert, Little James also on this list, it may seem like I'm picking on Liam, but that's not true. But it took him some time to get going with his songwriting for Oasis. This one is an obvious nod to John Lennon, and it's about Liam's son, also named Lennon. But it's not really a track that I ever got on board with. It's very cheesy, very much in the vein of Little James, like Liam writing about his sons, and it kind of plods along and never really goes anywhere. Liam's vocals on this track are decent, but he doesn't really deliver it with a lot of emotion. And when you compare it to another great Liam song like I'm Out of Time, which I absolutely love, something like this kind of falls flat. Thankfully for us, Liam got much better as a songwriter later. In at number 7 of the top 10 worst Oasis songs, we have Can You See It Now? I Can See It Now. This one is a bonus track from Don't Believe the Truth, and it's a pseudo-instrumental which features some really crappy Noel Gallagher vocals at the end. As I've said, Oasis are not a great instrumental band, and similar to other songs on this list like The Cage, spoiler alert, and Can You See It Now, this track was just haphazardly thrown onto the record as a bonus track for the Japanese version of the album. And Japanese editions of albums require additional material because albums are much more expensive to buy in Japan, so they need to put more material on it to make it more appeasing to that market and appeasing to fans to buy. But to that end, this song is very, very weak. The vocals aren't great, and the instrumental portion of this song doesn't go anywhere either. It works as good background music, but not really anything else other than that. But as an Oasis completionist, I still have a copy of it in my iTunes, but you know what? I don't like it. And at number 6, we have Soldier On. Dig Out Your Soul's second half is beyond weak, thanks to tracks like The Nature of Reality, which we'll get to on this list, and then tracks like this called Soldier On. Why this song made it onto the album is beyond me. And like the closing song of all of them, the song that's going to close out this album, especially when you had two super strong songs in Boy with the Blues and I Believe in All relegated to bonus tracks on the deluxe edition of Dig Out Your Soul, which a lot of people never heard. Oasis had a little bit of a problem throughout their career doing that. We know that. Putting great songs on their B-sides is what they were known for, but it made sense on the earlier records like Morning Glory, Definitely Maybe, Be Here Now, even Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. It made sense when the albums were stronger. Dig Out Your Soul's first side absolutely epic, absolutely amazing, among maybe the best sides of any Oasis album. But there were so many great tracks left off this album. They really dropped the ball on the second side when there were obviously better tracks to choose from. And for that, I cannot forgive an abomination like Soldier On, and I won't stand for it. And at number 5 on my top 10 worst Oasis songs, we have Alive. 8-track demo. Similar to I Will Believe from Supersonic, which is also on this list, Alive was one of those first Oasis B-sides. It was on the Shaker Maker single and was labeled as a demo, so I guess we shouldn't expect too much from it. But as far as demos go, it's not even that good. It has a limp vocal from Liam and some really uninspired guitar from Noel. And there are other demos from that pre-Definitely Maybe Oasis period that are much stronger, like Give Me Strange Thing or See the Sun any day. Obviously, Oasis is known for their great B-sides, but it took them a little while to really get going, to get to the good stuff on the B-sides. They got there eventually, but those first few singles, especially like Supersonic, Shaker Maker, and I'd argue even Live Forever, they're a little shaky in the B-side department. You know what? Alive is a perfectly pleasant track. When I was really desperate for Oasis material, I really enjoyed listening to it back in the day, but the band is capable of so much more, and the B-sides don't match the quality of the A-sides that they're backing up. And at number 4, we have Little James. Ah, yes, Little James, Liam Gallagher's first songwriting contribution to the Oasis canon on the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants album. We all wanted Liam to start writing for the band, to start contributing with songs, so I guess he had to start somewhere with this song about his young stepson James. And it's okay, I guess. It's got a nice Beatle-y kind of feel to it, which is to be expected from Liam because he's always trying to ape John Lennon, especially on those early tracks that he's writing for Oasis. But the lyrics, of course, are very cheesy, and the song really just is silly at the end of the day. And Liam eventually did really improve with his songwriting later on with Oasis, and then into BDI, and then of course into his solo material. But it took a little while to get there for Liam. Like I said, he had to start somewhere, and it's right in the middle of Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. It's kind of cushioned by some stronger songs, and it turned Liam Gallagher into a songwriter in Oasis, so I guess we can't fault it too much. And at number 3 on the top 10 worst Oasis songs, we have The Cage. I know it may seem like I'm picking on Oasis instrumental tracks here, but like I said, outside of Swamp Song and Fucking in the Bushes, they don't have a ton of great instrumental tracks. And The Cage is probably one of the most obscure, if not the most obscure Oasis tracks because it's buried as a hidden track on Heath and Chemistry. Long after the notes of Better Man have faded out, you'll soon notice that the track is still going, and then all of a sudden, this track comes out of nowhere. The only Oasis bonus track that comes at the end of an album like this far after the final track. That was kind of a thing back in the 90s and the 2000s, like putting a hidden bonus track on an album much later with a huge gap after the final track that fans could discover. It's not so easy to do that now in the Spotify era. And as far as instrumentals go, it doesn't really go anywhere. Like my theory actually with The Cage is that this was actually a song that the band recorded with vocals from either Liam or Noel, and maybe the melody wasn't that great, but they took the vocals off, and then since it was perfectly good, they had a really good instrumental track. They decided just to put it on Heath and Chemistry as an Easter egg for fans. But as far as Easter eggs go, it's a rotten one. In at number 2, we have Those Swollen Hand Blues. Ah, yes, 2009, the end of Oasis. When Falling Down came out as the 3rd single from Dig Out Your Soul, we didn't know that it would be the last Oasis single ever. And we didn't know that Those Swollen Hand Blues would be the last Oasis B-side ever. Well, at least for now. But for a band that is known for its great B-sides, this track, this B-side, this one is not. It's a Noel sung track that just reeks of pure laziness. It starts with a really low sung vocal that you can barely hear before breaking into some sort of Beatles-esque stomp that doesn't really go anywhere like a lot of tracks on this list. The whole Dig Out Your Soul era didn't really give us a lot of extra tracks or B-sides. We got Boy with the Blues and I Believe in All on the deluxe version of the album, and then we got this track. And that's it. Especially when you compare it to other previous Noel written and sung Oasis tracks, and then, compared to great songs that he's written in his solo career, this song is like D-level Noel Gallagher at best. And it sucks that the Oasis legacy of great B-sides ended with this very, very lackluster track. It's not an Oasis song that I listen to often, and for good reason. And in at number 1 on my top 10 list of the worst Oasis songs, we have The Nature of Reality. As I said, as far as getting his songs onto Oasis albums, Andy Bell was done dirty. Andy Bell is a great songwriter, and he wrote some great songs for Oasis, including, like I mentioned, one of my favorite Oasis songs, one of my favorite B-sides, Thank You for the Good Times, which again should have been on Heath and Chemistry. You know, I don't think I'm ever going to get over that. But then they put on A Quick Peep already on this list, and then they kind of made it up to him on Don't Believe the Truth when he got the opening track on that, Turn Up the Sun, and Keep the Dream Alive on that record as well. Those were both great songs. But then he got the shaft again on Dig Out Your Soul, getting one track late in the record, and The Nature of Reality is it. I guess the guitar on this song is okay. I was listening to it earlier today again. I guess that part of it is okay. There's some cool riffage happening on that. But otherwise, it's super weak and it's not worthy of inclusion on this album. I guess if you like psychedelic guitar and that kind of thing, it kind of scratches that itch. But otherwise, this song is not strong at all. And it's really sad that this was the last song that Andy Bell wrote for Oasis. And it's one of the reasons why the second half of Dig Out Your Soul is so weak. The album could have been so much stronger, but instead, we got The Nature of Reality, and then the band broke up. All right, guys, that is my list of the top 10 worst Oasis songs. You know, I love the band. They're my favorite band of all time, but even they have written a couple of clunkers. Let me know what you think the worst Oasis songs are in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to toss us a like. If you want to subscribe here to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button and make sure to follow me on social media across all platforms, Instagram, X, TikTok, and more at Nick Chino Music. But I'll see you guys again for another video here on the channel. Until then, rock on, everybody.